It's like, I try to stay away from drama. I try to just vlog my life and share my life, and somehow, some way, things start happening online that like I have to put out, and it's a fire that I didn't even start, and it's just like frustrating. I don't always make excuses, but I have a lot of reasons for the way that I am. Why is there so much hate? I don't know. I think that people are just really, I don't know. Like, I don't do anything wrong. Like, I'm not a mean person. I'm just here. And no matter what, like, people are just rude. I don't know. I genuinely don't.
Oh wow, that one popped up like crazy. So the first one is needy.
And literally won't help me with shit. I feel like I am trapped. It is scary as F.
Because you aren't the responsibility, and you're not mine neither.
So you won't be taking me grocery shopping at all after this week? Can you imagine if this was the other way around?
Amberlynn, you're 26 years old. Act like it.
And you know how old I was? 20.
Ooh, that one flung out. Love affair. Dirty little secret. Sex fix. Down low.
I don't know, after everything I've been through with Danielle and Erica, my advice is don't fuck with a bitch that's in a relationship. Because if she's cheating on her man just to flirt with you, then she's gonna cheat on you with someone else.
Secrets.
This part of the vlog was completely planned. She told me basically what to say before we started filming because she knew that I looked visibly sick and that I didn't want to go. But there was no possible way for her to go on her own, so I had to go regardless. But she wanted it to seem for the vlog that going was my choice or that I even had the option to stay home.
So I got secrets.
I think the most historically damning thing that will come out of season 6 is Rarity.
Her ex Tommy exposed that she asked Amber to leave and go home to Oklahoma. She didn't want her there anymore, and that's the day that she conveniently lost her cat Rarity. As soon as this happens, Amber's subreddits go down.
Dude, you have no idea how freaking sad I am over Rarity.
Dude, why would you just give up on her? Wasn't it like snowing?
Think about it. Who recreates a traumatic situation in their life for money? Just think about it.
Salty. Bitter. Angry. Petty.
So, this is what happens when my YouTube channel 7-8 years ago ends up on a fat shaming website. Fat shaming isn't real. What do you mean it's fat phobia? It's constructive criticism. What is that? You're sending alcohol to an alcoholic. So, I hope you have fun sitting next to Trump in hell.
Amberlynn Reid is trying to blame Becky for her cancer.
When I got blamed for the cancer, I was like, dude, me, Eric, Ricky, my mom, my sisters, every single person in your life, even your own friends, told you, hey, you should go to the OBGYN. And she wouldn't. She would not go. So how was that my fault?
So Amber says Alexis is lying. Valentine is lying. Casey is lying. Beck is lying. Tommy is lying. And Destiny is lying. And Amber, a person that creates monetized content saying, I lied, I'm sorry, is telling the truth. Everyone is lying except you, huh, Pookie? Who do you believe?
Second card is Crisis.
I genuinely just don't know what to do anymore.
Today we're going to do a reading on Amberlynn Reid. Oh my god, right off the bat, a first pull devil. I can't. These cards don't feel sympathetic. These cards don't make me feel like empathetic. These cards kind of, and this energy kind of is a little bit hollow, shallow, superficial, surface level, manipulative, groggy, sluggish, lazy, heavy.
Amberlynn cut Emily off before she could tell me the whole story, but Amberlynn did confirm that something relating to physical violence happened on Amber's end when she was in Wisconsin.
Domestic violence is a serious issue, and we should be lifting up those who have suffered, not blaming them. If you're currently suffering with domestic violence, there is a national domestic violence hotline that you can call. You are not alone.
So, where was Crystal's national DV hotline number? Where was Casey's? Where was Destiny's? Did you forget about this, Amber? Huh? No? When you charged Destiny's car and threatened to unalive yourself because she wanted to go have dinner with her grandma and her mother? Where was Jade's DV hotline number when all of the stuff came out about you charging her and there being another weapon involved? I just think that it's very hypocritical for you to put this in the end of your video when there have been multiple allegations regarding you doing this.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. And baby, there's a lot of smoke. It's a pattern.
Do you ever fear going to hell? I don't believe in that.
Well, hello. My name is Chris and welcome back to my channel. Today, we conclude our series of 100 Reasons Why People Are Done with Amberlynn Reid. It's not because she's fat. Or at least, season 1 of it. Thank you all so much for the support you have given these videos. I promise you this is only the beginning. Also, I somehow listed 2 number 50s and didn't even realize it until one of you pointed it out to me. Although my work schedule currently has me zombified, I still try to be as thorough as possible, so my apologies for that. Therefore, we will begin this episode with 77, and I will attempt to fix the numbers in the supercut. Because yes, I will be attempting to make a supercut with its own intro and all, for any brave soul that wants to challenge themselves to watch all 100 reasons continuously with no relief. Now, let's get to 100. Number 77, constantly exhibiting laziness. The examples of this one are infinite, so I sadly cannot point out every single one. However, here are some examples that Amber has exhibited throughout her YouTube career, in no particular order, that immediately come to my mind. Claiming she loves doing dishes while continuously using disposable single-use plates and utensils. Filming her partner's cleaning while she just sits there. Hiding in the bathroom at work. Leaving her mobility scooters in the parking lot. Not brushing her hair. Not showering. Using a mattress in the living room. Letting her litter box overflow. Using training pads on the floor for Twinkie. Making Beck drive her places and get her food even during their renal failure. Begging Destiny to take her to the store and to take out her trash. Relying on her mother to take her wherever she needs to go. Uploading a majority of sit-down Q&A based content. Taking an excessive amount of breaks from YouTube. Canceling her members' live streams more and more frequently. And when she does stream, leaving the audience with the ceiling for far too long, which I will elaborate more on later. I could go on, but we would be here all night. Number 78. Blaming Beck for her festering cancer. In part 2, I listed the fact that Amber fell right back into all of her bad habits right after cancer, despite her still weaponizing her cancer for sympathy any chance she gets. Even after Jade moved in and seemingly catered to her every need, Amber still remained very salty toward Beck, speaking negatively of Beck, trying to embarrass Beck, rubbing her new relationship in everyone's face, etc. And one Instagram Q&A in particular took a very asinine turn. Someone asked Amber if she thinks her cancer journey would have been different if she was with her current girlfriend. Now that I look at it, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if she sent herself this question, but I digress. Amber responded with, quote, "I would have went to the doctor sooner. I wouldn't have ever waited till I was bleeding to death to be rushed to the ER." Unquote. She continued to explain that Beck didn't seem concerned, and that Jade would have forced her to go to the gyno right away. First of all, no one can make Amber do something she doesn't want to do. Second, why the hell is it anyone else's responsibility but her own? Beck has responded to this multiple times now, claiming that damn near everyone in Amber's life that knew about her bleeding told her to go see an OBGYN, but she just continuously refused. I strongly believe that Beck would have chosen driving Amber to an appointment over dragging a fucking mattress back and forth between the living room and the spare bedroom over and over again. Amber to this day claims that Beck didn't care about her cancer, despite them not seeing their dying mother because they were taking care of her instead. All for Amber to go on to support someone who famously faked cancer. Number 79. Supporting Boogie. In January of 2021, Nikocado Avocado, of all people, whom Amber was in communication with at the time, heavily implied in a mukbang that Amber was perhaps faking or exaggerating her cancer. Now, unless he shows text messages or something, I don't care to entertain that rumor. The point being, Amber was pissed. Understandably, because faking cancer for sympathy and attention is an appalling, despicable, pathetic act. And anyone who does such a thing doesn't deserve support of any kind. What the hell is this? Amber was spotted sending super chats to lolcow live and trying to get Boogie's attention. Apparently, Amber is a fan of Boogie. For those who are unaware, this man has been on YouTube for almost 20 years, and his internet presence has just descended into an infamous downward spiral. And more recently, the man faked cancer for 2 years and scammed his entire audience. I never looked into the details of it because he just disgusts me, but it is a well-known fact that he indeed faked cancer. When asked in one of her lives regarding the hypocrisy of her supporting this man, Amber just said, quote, "I just don't get offended with shit like that," end quote. Number 80. Disregarding her partner's sexuality and identity. I've noticed multiple examples of this and wanted to compile them here, as well as Amber's very blatant hypocrisy regarding this topic. Let's begin when Casey first came out to Amber as trans. Amber got offended because she likes girls, not boys, showing no empathy to Casey. And then, years later, she filmed herself goofing off at work, making fun of Casey for binding. Throughout Amber's YouTube career, she was always adamant about being a full-blown lesbian, and would feel shamed whenever a viewer questioned that. Then, while with Beck claims that Amber would tell them that they would be the one proposing, and that at their wedding they would be wearing a suit, not even considering Beck's feelings. And then after their breakup, Amber had the absolute gall to accuse Beck of keeping her in the closet, only because Jade was polyamorous, and Amber was going along with it at the time in desperation to hold on to Jade, despite viewers claiming that Amber had a trail of biphobia behind her. Now, let me make it very clear. No one gives a flying f*** whether Amber is gay or bi. She can do whatever or whoever she wants. However, her not only questioning but dictating her partner's sexuality and identity while being very inconsistent with her own is gross. Don't get offended when people simply ask questions when you had a pretty significant crush on Eric back in the day. The point I'm trying to make here is that Amber thinks that she can do whatever she wants whenever she wants. But her partners, on the other hand, have to portray themselves how Amber wants them to. Number 81. Flirting with a taken woman. Again. I know what you may be thinking. Haven't we gone over this already? Multiple times? Oh, no. You see, Amber has been involved in cheating scandals so many times, we haven't gotten to all of them yet. We've gone over her cheating multiple times during the Casey era, then being the other woman when first talking to Destiny, who was engaged, and Lord knows we've thoroughly covered the love triangle from hell with Erica and her wife Brittany. This particular listing, however, is about Danielle. Danielle was the first long-distance summer fling rebound after Jade dumped Amber, but was still living with her for a hot minute due to the apartment lease. According to Alexis, Danielle is very attractive and would just drive Amber wild. Inconveniently though, Danielle has also been in a relationship for around a decade or so, and was not only communicating with Amber, but also hooking up with other people simultaneously. What a lovely, respectful person she sounds like. Why wouldn't Amber want to involve herself with such a gem of a woman? Apparently, this girl was always Amber's first choice, but the games Danielle kept playing with her made it difficult. Between the hookups and her not keeping consistent communication, Amber got pissed. Then came Abby, then Erica, and even Emily. All while Amber was allegedly still holding out hope for this chick Danielle. Alexis even came out of retirement in Karina Kaboom's comments giving her 2 cents, claiming that she believes Amber still talks to Danielle to this day. Amber even pulled Alexis to the side while the friends were double dating in Wisconsin and told her that Danielle had contacted her yet again. Who knows? Point being, both Amber and Danielle are wrong for this. Okay, I think that might be all of the infidelities that we know of. Oh, wait, there's more. Number 82. Speaking to a married woman after the Destiny breakup. So, we have had yet another instance recently come forth, even with some text message receipts provided by Destiny. After Destiny broke up with Amber and began dating Dana very shortly after, Amber immediately began talking to multiple people, seemingly in desperate search of a new partner. According to Destiny, one of whom was married with grandchildren. When Destiny found out about this, she told Amber to leave that messy situation alone, but she, of course, continued to pursue it. That is, until Beck came along. Number 83. Being in love with Destiny while with Beck. In those same text messages we just discussed, you can see Amber being extremely codependent with Destiny right after the breakup. Viewers noticed her need to still keep Destiny within close reach, texting and video chatting, relying on Destiny to help her with errands and chores, willingly being the third wheel and tagging along with her and Dana whenever she could. And then, even after obtaining a relationship of her own, Amber insisted on frequently going on double dates, inviting Destiny and Dana over to visit, and even offering financial assistance here and there. Many audience members began accusing Amber of still being in love with Destiny despite now being in a serious relationship with Beck, to which she obviously denied. Until years later, in November of 2020, not long after Amber and Beck moved into the Lexington apartment, where Amber casually admitted in a Q&A that yes, for the first year and a half or so of her relationship with Beck, she was indeed still in love with Destiny. Let me remind you that this was after all of the financial abuse, Beck's renal failure, their mother's passing, and Beck taking care of Amber both before and during her cancer. Amber now chose this particular question to answer and admitted that she emotionally cheated throughout half of their damn relationship, humiliating Beck in the process. I suppose it's okay when Amber does it. Number 84. Flexing finances while claiming she can't afford help. So in my last upload, I calculated approximately how much money Amber spends on useless non-essentials each month, while claiming that she cannot afford weight loss surgery, inpatient, or even the weight loss injection she wants. With the GLP-1 being her current supposed goal, I compared her spending to the estimated highest cost without insurance per month. And to no one's surprise, the medication was only half the cost of what she spent on Legos, Torrid, and blind boxes that month. I also did not include any takeout. If I only saw this at surface level, I would say that she is a grown woman, she earns her money fair and square, and if she wants to prioritize useless nonsense over her health and healing, then let her die young if she wants to. Why should we care if she doesn't? However, the part that I have a problem with is her manipulating her audience into thinking that she can't afford the medical help that she needs when she damn sure can. In my opinion, she just doesn't want to set up a budgeting system in which she has to discipline herself in any way. She likes to be able to see it, want it, and buy it with no exceptions. But what good is that when your series finale is steadily approaching? So to those who are currently throwing $10 a month at her for canceled live streams, wonky schedules, and prolonging ceiling shots, it is certainly your choice, but I will never understand it. Number 85. Manipulating and villainizing Aunt Tammy. This one is a throwback to a situation that I honestly didn't know very much about until I came across this excellent deep dive by Septa7. So for context and backstory, without diving too deep because it's very messy, as we all know, Amber came from an incredibly dysfunctional family. Now, her mother seems to have finally turned her life around, which we see glimpses of through Amber's vlogs, and I am genuinely happy for her and I like the person that she appears to be now. However, before she focused on healing, which was only in recent years, her mom did some very horrible things. And her mother, Amber's grandmother, also did some very horrible things. Amber has talked about some particular instances herself, but I'd rather not get into that right now. Point being, when those two were choosing to fester in the results of their poor choices, Amber's Aunt Tammy tried distancing herself for her own well-being. Before Amber and her mom lived with the grandmother, they lived with Tammy. But her mom's drug use and behavior was just too much, and Amber continued to defend her mother unconditionally. Tammy had done all she could to help her family, but realized it was just affecting her own healing journey and she had to set boundaries. A couple years later, when Amber created her YouTube channel, Tammy was the only family member that Amber was talking to at the time, and would even participate in Amber's Q&As and such. Amber's mom became homeless around this time, and Tammy was helping provide her with food and other essentials. However, Amber started complaining to her audience that Tammy wasn't doing enough. Amber wanted Tammy to take her mom back into her home, but at the time, Amber's mom was still a violent drug addict. My question is, Amber was a grown woman here, paying no rent, no car payments, no bills, nothing. getting an absurdly generous and downright ridiculous allowance from Crystal's parents of around $1,400 a month. Why couldn't she do anything to help her own mother? During the Destiny era, Amber's mom was in prison, and Tammy gave Amber the information needed to write to her mom, but she never did, because of the pain her mom had put her through. Even after her mom found out that she had cancer in prison, Amber still didn't write. To be fair, Amber's decision was justified, as Amber didn't know her mother anything at that time. But the issue here is that she was allowed to distance herself from her mother, but she shamed her Aunt Tammy for trying to do the same thing. And then Amber uploaded a video titled, "My Aunt Left Me Because I'm Fat," which was total bullshit. Tammy had lost a lot of weight, tried to help Amber do the same. Amber didn't listen and Tammy got fed up. But the reasons Tammy distanced herself from Amber go far beyond that. Amber was now mad that Tammy was talking to Amber's mom, but not her. Amber's mom was finally working on herself at this point, and Tammy feared that Amber would just guilt trip her mom and negatively affect her progress. Aunt Tammy even did an interview on Kiwi Farms after this, pointing out even more of Amber's lies. It was pretty hecticana. All I have to say after that is, I am happy that Amber's aunt and mother have both focused on healing. Your turn, Amber. Number 86, making everything about herself. Like Amber's laziness, the examples showcasing this one are quite vast. However, Salty Crab brought attention to this particular event that I found very interesting, and pathetic as hell. Also stemming from Destiny's text message tea with Beck. So at the end of 2020, Destiny and Dana visited the couple in their new Lexington apartment for Beck's birthday. They did not come back for Amber's birthday because Beck had specific plans for that. New Year's Eve came along, and Dana and Destiny mentioned coming to visit again in their group chat, but then realized a few minutes later that they might not be able to make it. Shit happens when you're an adult. Plans change. Amber was still sleeping at this point, but Beck gave a simple, "Okay, just let us know." Amber wakes up and asks, "So what's making you guys not want to come over?" "No tea, no shade, but we didn't do anything for my birthday." Destiny and Dana responded, saying that maybe Saturday they can stop by because it's Destiny's nephew's birthday and they want to take him somewhere in Lexington. Dana attempted to mediate, and then Amber joked that Destiny would rather be with her nephew on his birthday than go visit them. I don't understand what's funny about that, but I digress. Then Dana explains that this is a hard day for Destiny because it was her recently deceased mother's birthday, saying, "Whatever keeps her happy today, really." Perfectly understandable. I'm sure Amber will understand. I get that, but it makes me feel pretty shitty. Beck then says, "Just let Destiny know we love her. I had a hard time on my mom's birthday too. If y'all decide to come, I'll cook dinner." Wow, that was very sweet of Beck to say. Or we can order something. I want to pig out. Then Dana and Destiny's car wouldn't start, to which Amber responded with, "Sounds like y'all shouldn't drive super far anyhow." Okay, Amber, that was actually an understandable and appropriate response. Surely this should be the end of the conversation. I just got done bawling my eyes out because I'm scared for my health. I'm so sad. I need you guys. I need to laugh. I need to have fun. What an insufferable f***ing. There's even more about Amber being jealous of the nephew's birthday cake, but guys, I don't have the strength. Number 87. Orchestrating Beck for the vlogs. We've discussed Amber using her partners for content and clicks, sometimes even against their wills, in the past. One thing that has caught my attention is that Beck recently claimed that Amber would go as far as to orchestrate them before hitting record. Take this video from 2018, where Beck is clearly very sick, but the couple had plans that day to go out. At one point, Amber asked Beck on camera if they're feeling up to going, because if not, she could just go by herself. Beck says that this portion of the vlog was completely planned, because Beck was so visibly sick, Amber wanted to appear considerate, so she told Beck what to say. In reality, Amber wasn't able to go anywhere by herself, and she knew it, so Beck never had a choice. Knowing this, there was one instance where Beck opened up to Amber's audience talking about their young nephew who tragically passed away. Amber claimed in a title card that Beck did this without her knowledge, but we clearly see Amber through the window in the background. And then Amber follows up this very emotional footage with an immediate cut to her yapping about food. Amber was very controlling. I doubt that Beck would grab her camera and film it without her permission. If Beck ever returns to YouTube, I would like to ask them about this because I'm just curious. Another small example of this would be the 20-piece McNugget scandal with Destiny, where Destiny told the audience that Amber ordered a 20-piece, and instead of just editing it out, Amber made Destiny lie and tell the audience that she was just joking after the fact. I'm curious though, what happens when Amber isn't in control of what's being filmed? Number 88. What cereal is that? We have finally reached the infamous "what cereal is that" incident. During the Beck era, when the couple was living with Eric and Ricky, Eric decided to start a YouTube channel of his own and start vlogging his life. One very strange and now notorious girl world moment he was able to capture was Amber acting livid over Beck eating a bowl of cereal, angrily whispering, "What cereal is that?" multiple times, and then aggressively waddling out of the room when she discovers that Eric was filming. What the hell was that about? Later, Beck stated that they had planned on starting a diet at the time, but Beck didn't want to waste the last of the Cocoa Puffs they had in the house, and Amber got upset about it. Which could maybe be understandable to an extent if Amber didn't immediately cave on every other diet they had tried to go on together prior to this. The thing is, Amber has to be the one in control, and when someone else makes a decision without her, watch out. Number 89. Making fun of her partner's appearances. I've talked about Amber filming her partners without their knowledge, against their will, and even on the toilet and in the shower. Despite Amber having massive insecurities regarding her own physical appearance, it didn't stop her from pointing out the insecurities of her partners on camera, specifically with the more gentle, submissive partners she's had. We mentioned her making fun of Casey for binding. Then with Crystal, she would point out her thin hair on multiple occasions, as well as her lazy eye. Side note, the awkward clips of Amber and Crystal talking softly in their bedroom really give off toxic friend ASMR energy. And of course, she did this with Beck too. One of Beck's biggest insecurities was their chin, and Amber would always play with it on camera. She would also film Beck from unflattering angles, knowing that they made Beck uncomfortable. Beck would even mention it, and Amber just kept filming. There is a moment that people have pointed out multiple times when Amber talked about how she thinks people with round faces look bad with short hair, and the look on Beck's face is so heartbreaking. And we are all very well aware of the infamous fanny pack moment in Walmart, where Amber told Beck that they needed to lose weight, despite Amber being twice their size. As far as I can remember, Amber never dared to try this with Destiny or Jade, because I feel like they were more comfortable matching Amber's energy and not taking her shit. Despite people online pointing out every flaw, I don't know if Amber could handle those comments that well in person. Number 90. Ignoring her disruptive hygiene. So I was never going to touch on her hygiene in this list, as it seemed to be a bit too personal, but while compiling the series and learning more and more, it is evident that she deliberately ignored these issues, despite them affecting those around her, which is wrong because she always had the ability to change her situation for the better and just chose not to. Therefore, I'm bringing it up. Casey and his mom admitted in a live stream that showering was hard to get her to do. Then, Destiny admitted that the entire time they were living with Destiny's mother, Amber didn't shower because she was afraid to swing her leg over the side of the tub. Then, Beck said that Amber's hygiene affected everyone around her as well as others' personal belongings, and that she would just wear a lot of perfume. As I've mentioned previously on the list, both Destiny and Beck had to spend hours untangling Amber's unkept hair on multiple occasions. Amber, understandably embarrassed, claimed that everyone was simply making fun of her cancer symptom, but that is not at all the case. I'm not making fun of her for not physically being able to fit into a shower or anything of that sort. What I'm pointing out is her refusal to put any effort into bettering her situation when she was always able to do so, despite it affecting those around her to such an alarming extent. Number 91. Lying to her audience about her medical history. I take great pride in my videos. They are certainly not perfection, but I put countless hours into each and every one. One thing, though, that I refuse to do is comb through and attempt to dissect Amber's medical history timeline. I simply do not have the time, strength, or mental capacity. Between her lies, countless alleged doctors, diagnosis, misdiagnosis, medications, all weaved into a very tangled web of her lies. I just can't do it. Luckily though, we have channels like Apathetic Facts. Just weeks ago, Amber announced to her audience that she had a brand new diagnosis, hypothyroidism, claiming that the last time she had her thyroid checked was when she was 15. Well, the Amberverse sleuths got to work and found a slew of clips where Amber mentions getting her thyroid tested. If Amber doesn't want to share her medical updates, she doesn't have to, but the inconsistencies in what she has presented are undeniable. And this is one of the many reasons why people cannot believe a word she says. Number 92. Excuses, excuses, excuses. When it comes to Amber struggling to better her health, I've noticed that the woman collects excuses like infinity stones. Now, as you may have noticed, I will always try to give credit where it is due, and Amber will show glimmers of self-awareness here and there, acknowledging that her health is a mess and that it is indeed her fault, which to me makes her a tad more tolerable than the Tess Holidays of the internet, for instance. However, Amber buffers these comments with so much delusion it damn near cancels out any moment of realization. Because making excuses for things is taking the easy way out, which we all know is Amber's favorite way. Whether it's her trauma, her lymphedema, her lipedema, her hysterectomy, her genetics, or most recently, her hypothyroidism, Amber is sure to have these excuses on standby, and completely ignore the fact that exercise and a nutrient-dense diet would remarkably help with these reasons. Number 93. Complaining about her insanely privileged job. Again, y'all know I will always try to be fair, and from time to time, Amber will acknowledge her privileged job and claim that she is grateful for it. But just like the previous listing, in between these glimmers of supposed gratitude, she will say things that contradict those statements entirely, showing her true colors and pissing off a good chunk of her audience. More recently, while recovering from cellulitis, she had the gall to say that if she had a normal job, she would be told to stay home and rest. I got very triggered, and I firmly believe that people are responsible for their own triggers, so it's certainly my burden to bear. However, I'm still going to rant for a second, because Amber doesn't seem to know how sick days work. Most of us peasants, at least in the US, are not given that much PTO, and many of us can't afford to stay home every time we are not feeling well. And in more serious cases, we hold off issues because of it. I literally have bone growing out of the back of my heel from working on my feet for the last 10 years straight. A normal job, according to Amber. If I wanted to get surgery on it, it would be a gamble, because the recovery time could be up to a year. And even though I opted for the best benefits package with my job because of my health issues, the check that I would receive in recovery would not be nearly enough to cover my rent, because I got stuck overpaying for an apartment that I despise with every fiber of my being, and I am desperately trying to move out when my lease is up. However, I cannot move to a more affordable area if I am not able to transfer locations with my company, because that is another stressful factor of having a normal job that Amber doesn't have to worry about. How dare this quarter-ton woman, who lives in a world of delusion, come on here and complain about making 5 figures a month for doing nothing but sit on her ass and act a damn fool, when I'm willing to bet that a massive chunk of her audience is on the same boat as me, living in the harsh, real world. While many of us live off of ramen noodles, this woman DoorDashes cups of ice. Again, delusion. Also, she went to bingo and the movies just fine in that very same vlog. PSA, please know that although I do share some unfortunate tidbits from my personal life, I am certainly not a victim. Unlike Amber, I am working my ass off to better my life, and I am confident that I can do it in time. Thank you for watching and supporting my content, as that is certainly helping. Number 94. Bashing the people who pay her bills. On YouTube, you can't please everyone, but Amber has chosen to make toxicity her brand at this point, garnering an entire community that watches her every move. Here in the Amberverse, Amber claims that she's paying everyone else's bills, but I believe it is quite the opposite. Without the community, Amber wouldn't be making the money she makes. However, Amber will still bite the hand that feeds, Now, being frustrated with hate comments and reaction channels is understandable, but Amber will even shit on those who support her, as she has always mistaken advice, criticism, and concern for hate. Exhibit A, Shrimpgate, in which Amber villainized her audience, who were disappointed in her gaining weight and posting frequent mukbangs for clicks, many of whom subscribed to her to support her on her weight loss journey and wanted her to succeed. Their frustrations were valid, and they had every right to voice their opinions, but Amber saw it as an attack and decided to strike back with a shrimp ring. She lost thousands of subscribers because of this video. Then we have Exhibit B, the Strawberry Hill Cakegate Tantrum, in which Amber was opening gifts from her P.O. box and got very triggered over some baked goods that were sent to her. Except the sender wasn't doing it to troll, they were a supporter who sent the sweets with good intentions. She buffered the clip in question with voiceovers declaring that she wants to be an advocate against fat phobia. It's very stupid now knowing the context. To be fair, is it the best idea to send a 600-pound woman food, even with pure intent? No, it isn't. But Amber could have politely asked people not to send her food because it is triggering. She didn't need to go off on this poor fan, throwing the pie across the room, and the poor company who baked these desserts. Especially when just a few weeks prior to this happening, she was gladly accepting and eating an array of foreign candy bars someone had sent her P.O. box. She was in pure ecstasy then, but for some reason, the cake triggered her. I guess her food contamination anxieties had not yet developed because, in my opinion, eating food from complete strangers in the mail when so many people dislike you is quite bold. Let's end this listing with Exhibit C, channel memberships. Amber charges $10 a month for them, which is quite expensive for a membership. That's more than the lowest Netflix subscription, originally in exchange for an exclusive live stream once a week. However, she has been canceling and rescheduling her streams more and more often, and informing members that she will be changing the schedule and price, all to just change her mind and go with something completely different. Shortly after she canceled one of her more recent streams, claiming it was because she had received bad news, her members were worried about her, until she posted a photo of her at bingo shortly after. I will likely have to elaborate on these particular events later on in this never-ending series, won't I? Number 95, Rarity. Okay, here we go. One question currently trending again is, what the hell happened to Rarity? When Amber had her mom drive her and her 3 pets across the country to visit Emily in Wisconsin, viewers assumed the trip would only last a few weeks tops. But months into her stay, Amber was not mentioning going back home, and we were all beginning to wonder, is she going back to Oklahoma? A lost cat poster began circulating, as the cat in question alarmingly looked like Rarity, and was lost in Emily's town. Amber then confirmed to her audience that it was indeed her cat Rarity. She continued to explain that after letting the dogs out at around 5 a.m., she didn't close the door all the way after they came back inside, despite the harsh winter weather outside. People questioned this from the jump. Amber was even speaking about Rarity in past tense. Months passed, and Amber continued to clickbait Rarity updates, but never gave any new information. And sadly, to our knowledge, Rarity was never found. Then, Emily recently entered the chat, claiming that Amber lost her cat right after Emily told her she needed to go back to Oklahoma. My guess is that her and Emily got into a fight early in the morning as Emily was getting ready for work. That's when Emily told her she needed to go home. And then, after she left the house, Rarity somehow disappeared. And then, even more speculation arose when this account posted that Amber had passed away. Members of the community swear up and down that this is one of Amber's accounts. However, I don't have proof of that. But, if it is, it would be her attempting to change the subject. Many are speculating that she also had the latest subreddit deleted to keep people quiet as well. No matter what happened, we've known for years that this woman should not have pets. But of course, Amber rubs salt into the wound by hinting that she may be getting a new kitten named Romeo. If so, pray for that cat. Number 96. Allegedly putting her hands on Emily. Okay, first and foremost, I have to be completely transparent and make it known that I do not agree with how this information was obtained. However, it was indeed exposed to the community, and some potential evidence has piled up, so I will try to acknowledge it in the most respectful way that I can, while still showing the proof, because you know I always need my receipts. Allegedly, someone who has remained anonymous began talking to Emily on Instagram, and a supposed connection and trust built over time. I will not share the very personal conversation, but what eventually resulted was Emily admitting that her altercations with Amber were, quote, more than just words. Alexis then chimed in, as she does, claiming that while hanging out with the couple in Wisconsin, Emily mentioned something of that nature happening between them, but then Amber cut her off. However, Amber did confirm to Alexis that something happened. Any details will have to be shared by Emily when and if she chooses to do so. What I would like to do now is look back and point out what Amber was presenting to her audience around the time that this was all likely happening. Promoting the DV hotline. How incredibly ironic. Emily was now the latest addition to the ever-growing list of partners who were mistreated by Amber. Please don't get it twisted, Emily is certainly no angel, and she chose to pursue Amberlynn despite the plethora of information regarding her problematic past available online. However, if this did happen, then she is one of Amber's victims. Amber's mistreatment is now an undeniable pattern. Perhaps the most concerning thing about this coming to light is that no one was surprised in the slightest. Number 97. Acting vile toward Beck during livestream era. We've covered Amber promising to pay back for the live streams they did together, knowing she was never going to. But here I want to focus on how Amber treated Beck during said live streams. A couple months ago, Mr. Snowflake released his highly anticipated Beck episode of his Victims of an Empath series. And in it, he perfectly documented just how horrible Amber treated Beck in general. But I found myself specifically growing more and more infuriated with each clip compiled from the livestream era. It went from Amber heavily victimizing herself after the breakup, desperately trying to guilt trip and cling onto Beck, to Amber being visibly upset whenever Beck would get a positive comment from someone in the chat, to Amber verbalizing on multiple occasions that she was paying Beck for the live stream when she knew she wasn't going to Amber jumping into a relationship with Jade and aggressively rubbing it in Beck's face, just gushing over her belief that Jade was a much better partner than Beck ever was. All leading up to Amber kicking Beck to the curb, financially destitute with no remorse. As upsetting as that era is to watch to this day, it holds a lot of damning evidence that shows just how badly Amber treated Beck in general. It's valid to feel heartbroken after being broken up with, and to hold some resentment that Amber was just so spiteful. And it's awkward for her to be so spiteful while simultaneously begging Beck to stay in the apartment, live stream with her for views, and even sleep in the same bed. Even before they broke up, when they would go live as a couple, Amber was rude to Beck even then. One instance in particular stood out to many. Number 98. Disrespecting Beck's beliefs after their mother died. I've seen comments referring to this one, but have never seen the clip, so I asked you guys to help me find it, and you did, so thank you very much. In a live stream titled I'm Back from the spring of 2021, Amber and Beck were chatting with the audience, and the conversation dipped in and out of topics of ghosts, spirituality, and the afterlife. I sat through this entire godforsaken stream to gather information, and here is the gist of what happened. It began when someone asked Amber if she's afraid of going to hell, to which Amber said that she doesn't believe in that. Later, Beck mentioned making content talking about ghost stories and paranormal experiences, to which Amber then said that she doesn't think that any of those stories are real. Despite Beck then bringing up a time when Amber refused to help them bring groceries inside because she saw something scary in the hallway. Then the two went back and forth a bit regarding what happens after we die. Then Amber starts listing conspiracies she believes in to prove that she has a wide mental capacity. Beck then brought up multiple examples of experiences that they have had, one of which Ricky also experienced. Amber was completely dismissive, saying that reincarnation, spirits, and angels are all just not real, but adding no reasoning as to why she thinks this. I think that her harsh, dismissive nature is due to her being very insecure in her own beliefs, but I digress. But look, Amber is entitled to her opinions. She has every right to believe or not believe in whatever she wants. But one contributing factor to this particular discussion is that Beck's mother passed away less than a year prior at this point. In fact, there were very sad moments throughout the stream where Beck talked about how they were mourning their mother and trying to adjust to life without her there. Amber doesn't have to believe what Beck does, but she should still respect Beck's beliefs. and not be so argumentative and dismissive, especially while Beck was mourning. It's that simple. Number 99. Lying consistently for years. Amber is the boy who cried wolf of YouTube. She has lied so much throughout her career that her viewers simply cannot trust her as far as they can throw her. One of the most damning aspects of Amber's online reputation is her endless slew of confirmed lies. Mr. Snowflake has an ongoing series on his second channel in which he tries to point out every one with receipts, and at this point, it's 7 episodes long and counting. She has gotten criticism since nearly the very beginning, but the Casey allegations that blew up in her face were really what shattered her reputation for good. And then, more and more lies and scandals piled up on top of that in the years following it. She has been caught in lie after lie after lie. She even has multiple videos on her channel admitting that she has lied. And then she has the audacity to feel sorry for herself and get defensive when people don't believe the things she says. Number 100. Convincing herself that people dislike her because she is fat. No matter how many times Amber cries fat phobia, fat shaming, ableism, etc., I just listed out 100 reasons why that is simply not the case. I feel like Amber has convinced herself that she is a good person, but fails to realize that being a good person takes far more effort than being a bad person. It's easy to be selfish, to be inconsiderate, to blame others for your problems, to victimize yourself in every situation. Whereas it takes effort to be patient, to forgive, to be charitable, to think before you speak, to respect your partner, to respect your body, to practice discipline, to not let your past define you. Yes, Amber had a hellish childhood, but the way she speaks about it is as though she is the only person on this earth who has. Countless people have reached their hands out to her and were willing to do anything for her because they saw the potential. All to be manipulated, mistreated, and even scarred for life. Yes, it is frustrating watching someone make so much money doing so little and being so shitty, while I work multiple jobs and can barely make rent. But at the end of the day, this woman's life is miserable. She can't work, she can't drive, she can't travel, she can't be independent in the bathroom, she can't even keep a stable, long-term relationship. But I can't feel too bad for her, because she has been able to change these things the entire time. After all this, do I believe that she can better herself at this point? Shockingly, yes. And the only reason I think that's possible is because Amber's mom did it at a later age. The concern with Amber is that she doesn't have that kind of time. At this rate, if Amberlynn Reid doesn't change, her legacy will merely serve as a cautionary tale and nothing more. You've probably figured it out by now, but I still have a lot of material for this series to continue on. As of right now, I have at least 2 more episodes worth of listings, so perhaps we can just consider this a season 1 finale situation type deal. There is much more Amber content to come, as well as other topics in between, so thank you to everyone who gives my other content a chance. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.